Hello everyone. Today we'll be starting with agriculture, particularly in the view of mains. So if you are able to follow next 5 days thoroughly the series, you will be winding up your main portion for agriculture subject. So in this subject we are going to focus on different patterns of agriculture, land patterns and land reforms, water, micro irrigation and many more. So basically we are going to focus on what is agriculture, how can we increase agricultural productivity, agricultural efficiency and intensity. So whenever you talk about agricultural productivity, we are talking for increasing the output per hectare area. Whereas if you talk about agricultural efficiency, we know efficiency is equal to output by input. So what is the output we are getting for the input we are providing? Under that we will be learning about infrastructural support and institutional issues. So below that we will be also studying our land reforms, land pattern, irrigation, seeds, fertilizers, and then under institutional issues, land issues like land holding issues, tenancy issues, lack in R&D, all those things. So thoroughly 360 degrees we will be covering up for agriculture in 5 to 6 days maximum. Also in another series I will be starting with PYQs of agricultural subject. Okay, so yeah, we'll kickstart today with agriculture. So as I mentioned, we'll be thoroughly studying up agriculture. For anything, we'll just have a basic understanding. So what is agriculture? Maybe every time we'll be using agriculture, etc., etc. What is agriculture? How can you define? So basic definition is the domestication of plants and animals is known as agriculture. It's such a simple basic definition. Here we are going to talk about both animals and plants domestication. Mostly we all kind of fix agriculture is nothing but plants related. No, it's also related to animals. That is what we are going to learn in depth. Okay, so first thing, when you talk about agriculture, today we are starting with sowing thing. That means plant related. We have to study in relation to animals also, but yeah, we'll start with plants. So that there are three important stages. So one is input stage or pre-sowing stage. Before you even sow, the issues or the necessities we have to focus on, or during the production, that means harvesting period. Then it comes to post production. These are the major three blocks we should be focusing on agriculture. So one is inputs, that is pre-sowing, harvesting and post-production. You can say pre-sowing, production, post-production. So these are the three major steps you should be focusing on. For every answer, if you can focus in these three subtopics and then answer writing if you're doing, you'll be able to fetch maximum marks. So in this series, one more specialty is there. As and when I teach, I also underline some of the key terms that you should sit back and practice. You pause the video and sit back and practice, so that you will be thoroughly learning for the mains answer writing. So you no need to go for any other resources, not required. So just practice whatever I say and implement it. Follow the PYQs in another series and you're done for agriculture. So just take 5 to 6 days or one complete week and complete the chapter. So that's the aim of the series. So now I just said you three key terms. In agriculture, whenever we talk, we should be talking in terms of pre-sowing or input stage, production or harvesting stage, or post-production. So these are the three stages. Okay, so whenever you think in point of agriculture, think in terms of inputs, pre-sowing or harvesting or production, and then post-production. So we'll see. Already I have said inputs or pre-sowing period. Okay, so now we'll understand what are the major heading can I put in the exam hall whenever I talk about a pre-sowing or a input stage for plants particularly. You should be talking about input management. It is such an important term. Input management. What are the inputs that are needed for agriculture? Obviously, a land, water. If you want to grow plants, seeds. Then for plants, you want fertilizers and pesticides, right? So four components are there under land management. So these are again the key terms under pre-sowing. Whenever you mention pre-sowing, immediately you should get input management. Under that you should be able to mention there are four input management elements. Those are land, water, seed, fertilizer and pesticide. Second point under inputs is crop production. So you should have these inputs and then go for a crop production. To go for a crop production, what are the problems I have? We have to make sure for a risk mitigation through insurance and credit banking penetration. So we want credit and the insurance for risk mitigation. So if you want to produce crop, after input management, you should be having risk mitigation. So this is the key term here, risk mitigation. Crop production, for crop production you want risk mitigation, right? So insurance and credit. Then comes very important key R&D, research and development. Under input or under pre-sowing, you have three components. Input management, that is land, seed, water and fertilizer or pesticides. Under that again you have second sub point, that is crop production. For that you want risk mitigation, key term. Note it down and practice. Crop production, risk mitigation. Then third one you have research and development. For every field, research and development or innovation is a key term, very key term, important term. So what are that included in research and development? That is e-tech. So whatever electronic technology we should be using. And then extensions of services. Services has to be extended. We'll see what are these, like food parks, etc. We'll see later. Then we also should have agriculture universities and startups. Startup, a key term. A startup should be there. Okay. So what are the R&D we can be dealing with? One is e-tech, a key term. E-tech, extension of services and startups or agri universities. So these are the major three components in inputs or pre-sowing. What are those? It's input management, crop production, research and development. So this is the thing. Next we'll go for during harvesting or production. So this is the second. What are the major components we have to focus in harvesting? So whenever you think of harvesting, what you should think about? That's the key term here. So first thing you have to think is about the crops. Then see, I already told you, whenever you talk about agriculture, it is not only plants domestication but also animals. So you can take livestock rearing, fisheries, horticulture, forestry and then maintaining environmental sustainability. So during pre-sowing, you already discussed, like you should be having a input management. You should also be having second one crop management, and then third one like second one is crop production and third one is R&D. Similarly, whenever you talk about harvesting, you should memorize crops as a subheading, where crops, under crops you will be mentioning different types of crops. So here you are going to understand what are the different kind of crops we have. So this will be the major heading and major topic for one more discussion. But yeah, for now it is crops. Then we have livestock and fisheries. Then horticulture. So under crops only you can take, or you can take as a separate heading horticulture. Even in the livestock rearing, you can also take fisheries as subheading or as a separate heading. Then we have a forestry, and sustainable environment you can take, or you can take as a separate heading. Forestry and sustainable environmental sustainability or sustainable agriculture is also we say. Okay, so we'll see now crops. Under crops, we have different crops. What are the different crops we have? Food crops. What are food crops like rice, wheat, ragi, etc. Fiber crops. What are fiber crops? One such is jute. What is fodder crop? So fodder crop for livestock will be feeding fodder crop. Oil seeds, of course, we know how much important it is for India and other countries as well. Then cash crops for our plantation crop. We are growing this purely for plantation type of thing like tea, coffee, rubber, etc. So what are those plantation or cash crops? So these are some of the crops we should be knowing. Why I am saying to know this is because, see, whenever you discuss about MSP also, you should be knowing for what kind of crops they are giving MSP. For all the crops are they giving, or for some crops what kind of crops they are giving. That should be very important. For that you should know what are the different types of crops we have. One is food crops, and then food, fiber, fodder, oil, cash crops, right? Under fisheries, we have two types, inland or marine. So inland aquaculture or marine aquaculture. Where this, which country or which state or which country is famous for inland aquaculture, what is the technology they are using, these things we should be learning. And also marine fisheries, what is the India's development or stand on it, everything we should be understanding. We'll see later. Whenever you talk about horticulture, you will be talking about fruits and flowers, right? F square. So that is fruits or vegetables. Even vegetables are included under horticulture. Then floriculture, that is related to flower. Then we have medicinal plants, plantations and bamboo also, spices and mushrooms as well. So mushrooms as well comes under. So mushrooms are also under horticulture. Then we have forestry. Under forestry, there are two types, minor forest produce and silviculture. So what is it? It's an art and science of managing forest and woodlands to control their establishment, growth, composition and quality in order to meet the needs of landowners and society sustainability. So that is one of the branch of forestry, okay. So we are studying about minor forest produce like honey and all are minor forest, timbers, roots and all. Along with silviculture, how can we manage those things under forestry. Later we have a livestock rearing. So livestock will be different. Cattle, poultry we know, sheep, goat, pig, apiculture, sericulture. These are some of the livestock rearing. So now we will be understanding in depth moving forward. Then we have environmental sustainability. Under that we have zero budget natural farming, organic farming. So what are these in depth we will understand later. For now you should be knowing these terms is what I mean. So you should understand overall during harvesting what we will be focusing on. We will focus on crops, we will focus on livestock as well as on fisheries. We focus on horticulture as well as forestry, and we focus on environmental sustainability. Under that one or two points you should be knowing, and then in later parts we will learn in detail about it. So under environmental sustainability we have zero budget natural farming, and then organic farming, then good practices with the precision agriculture. So this is one term, precision agriculture. For environmental sustainability we have 8 to 9 good agricultural processes worldwide. So under that already they mentioned 3 here. Moving forward we will learn all those things. What are those? Example, even we have terrace farming, contour banding, etc. We learn all those things, okay. So yeah, so this is one of the thing under production. Then we have a post harvesting or post production stage. So what are the points we should be knowing, or what are the key terms we should be dealing post production? Once you produced everything, you know what kind of crop you produced, you know what kind of livestock you have reared up. Now what next? So it should be income realization based approach. Mostly people will grow or produce based on income realization. They will see for how much output will I get for whatever input I am putting off. So that is income realization based approach. Then science, storage, transportation and logistics should be focused. So you produced everything. You can't keep it in the farm and someone will not come to your farm and buy, right? So for that you should be having storage for so and so dates, and you should be having proper transportation and logistics. Then you should be focusing on agricultural exports and marketing. So once you are done your growing period, then how about marketing? You have to market your products. And how about export? Yeah, domestic sale is fine. Apart from that, agriculture export also should be improved. So agriculture export and marketing has to be done. Then we have waste management. So once we know the problem of stubble burning, so that is also one of the problem under waste management. So whatever is coming out of agricultural as waste, how will you manage that? Waste management in every sector is needed, not only agriculture, and not only agriculture is not an exception. So waste management is important. Then we have public procurement and distribution. After once it has been reached some market, how will it be distributed to public? How the public procurement will happen? These things has to be noted. Finally, we have two more terms, that is food processing industries. So we are kind of moving towards the manufacturing now. So agriculture to, that is primary sector to secondary sector, how can we move? That is food processing industries. Then value addition chain. So we spoke here about food industry to manufacturing. Now in the value addition we talk to in primary to tertiary service sector. So how the integrated range of goods and services which is necessary for agricultural products to move from the producer to the final consumer. So it comes under service, right? So that is the thing. Under post-production stage we have seen first thing is income realization based approach we should go for. Okay, we have analyzed the income realization is done. Then what about the transportation, storage, logistics? Okay, that is also done to the nearby market. How about agriculture export and marketing? How can I do management, waste management? How will it be for public procurement and distribution? What about food processing industry? How about value addition chain? If you can able to memorize these key terms, your work is done for post production stage. You can use these kind of headings anywhere in the paper. So that's all about post production stage. Now we'll see significance of agriculture sector. Why agriculture sector is very important? Of course it is very important. Why so? We can understand this in different sectoral wise, right? So one such is political. We start with political importance. See, it's a vote bank, but more than that, we have to address regional issues. Farmer protects. Major occupation of people under in India is agriculture. If you are protecting farmers, you are protecting nation as well. So politically, farmer protect should be happening. Otherwise, they will protest. So that is the problem here. So it will lead to farmer protest, and to resolve the regional issues also agriculture is very needed, because most of them in rural areas are dependent on agriculture. So it will also aid to reduce the Naxalites, as we learnt in last session about Naxalites in internal security chapter. We got to know one of the reason is marginalization, and there is no proper source of income for them. So if you are not strengthening their employment opportunities, then again this issue can't be addressed. So agriculture is one of the key where you can reduce Naxalism by providing employment opportunity. So okay, so it will address Naxalite issues also, resolves regional issues, and farmer protest has to be avoided. Then lone viewer problem will be there under agriculture, because mostly they will be not getting the expected output. Then we have to, as a political agenda, they will be waiving off the loan. This is again a loss to country. So if you are not properly able to understand and give a proper instruction for growth under agricultural sector, there is no question of loan waiving, right? So that is also an issue, and then it will become a vote bank. Most of them are farmers. If you are not winning the farmers interest, you can't win the vote bank also. That's how it is important. Then call under, if you are not forming proper policies under agriculture, mostly we have to depend on coalition politics, because people won't get majority, because India is based on agriculture mostly, 48% approximately. So societal issues also we have. If you are focusing on agriculture, poverty reduction is easy. As I told, most of them are dependent on agriculture. Agri growth at least twice as effective in reducing poverty than non-agri growth. It is said by World Development Report in 2008. It is already mentioned. Agri growth will twice effectively reduce the poverty. Okay. Centrality for health, nutrition and food security. If agriculture is not properly working out, then there is no question of food security. In back of it we have nutritional issue, and then the health. It goes hand on hand. Food security issues will be there. Then it is a pivotal role in achieving sustainable development growth. From 11 of the 17 are mostly dependent on agriculture based only. So now assignment for you, what are those 17 SDGs? It's a key term. Why I am saying is because if you are able to use sustainable development goals, one of the goal as a concluding statement, then your answer looks so good. That's why you kind of take it as a key term and learn all those 17 sustainable development goals. I will just read out what are those sustainable development goals, all those 17. You pause the video, practice it. Okay. First thing is no poverty. Obviously we are saying for poverty reduction we want agriculture development. No poverty. Zero hunger. Food security thing based. Zero hunger. Third one is good health and well-being. Fourth, quality education. Fifth, gender equality. Sixth, clean water and sanitation. Seventh, affordable and clean energy. 8. Decent work and economic growth. 9. Industry, innovation and infrastructure. 10. Reduced inequalities. 11. Sustainable cities and communities. 12th, responsible consumption and production. 13th, climate action. 14th, life below water. 15th, life on land. 16th, peace, justice and strong institutions. And finally the 17th one, partnerships for the goal. So these are the 17 goals. You pause the video, learn it thoroughly and move forward. So next one, to address the migration also, we want agriculture sector, tackling farmer suicide. Yes. So these are some of the things. Now if you can compare China and India's approaches, we will kind of understand what is the problem in India. So initiation of reforms. Mostly China followed bottom-up approach, whereas India went for top-down trickling approach. We know that. Initiation of the reforms. China started with agriculture, whereas India started with non-agriculture sector like service and all. Impact on agriculture. It's boosted demand for manufacturing goods. Once agriculture is done, we already read like in the previous post thing, right? What we have learned? We learned it should be going for food processing industries and value chain, right? So it went for manufacturing goods. Whereas in India, agriculture sector received less immediate focus because we were focusing on non-agri sectors. Economic transition in China led to manufacturing revolution. When manufacturing goods are boosted, it will take place with a next step as a revolution. Whereas in India, gradual impact on the manufacturing. There is no revolution and all. Poverty reduction, significant reduction in poverty in case of China because most of them are dependent on agriculture. It got boosted up and then the manufacturing sector then led to the revolution. In India, held hostage by the trickle down effect. So there was no proper trickle down effect and there was no proper poverty reduction. This is a comparison. You can have a look into it. So when it comes to economic perspectives, India's share from GDP, from agriculture for GDP is 18.2%. Take it as a key term and practice. It's 18.2% from Economic Survey 2023 and 24. Okay. Then we have source of employment. It is approximately 42.3%. Exactly. So I already told, I was mentioning about 48%, but no, it's 42.3% employment according to Economic Survey recent data 2023-24. Okay. And agri growth necessary for inclusive growth. Such an important key term. Inclusive growth is what we need. Everybody should be part of growth. So agriculture is needed for inclusive growth. Investment in agri and allied sector drives for rural development. Yes. In social also we mentioned kind of rural development. Even in economy we are mentioning. Okay. So GDP share is 18% approximately. 42% of employability. Okay. That is a key role played by agriculture in economics. Along with we have holistic chain, value chain, integrating backward and forward linkages with other sectors. Okay. So there is something called backward and forward chain linkages. Say if it is agriculture. Because of it, manufacturing, food parks will come. It's a forward linkage. Backward linkage, fertilizer industry, pesticide industry will grow because agriculture needs it. So these kind of linkages also will improve if the agriculture improves. Also, boost to other government initiatives. So there is a boost to government initiative also, like there will be meaningful Make in India, Startup India, urbanization, Sanad Adarsh Gram Yojan. So now I want you to comment what is Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojan and Sampada Yojana, etc. These are also important key terms so that you will be able to mention them whenever you talk about agriculture. Okay, Sampada, Sansad, Adarsh Gram Yojan, Make in India, Startup India, urbanization, all these things. Okay. Take a pause and learn these yojanas, Sampada and all. Okay. In case of technology, micro irrigation, we are using technology. Technology also will be helping out. E-tech for farmers. Technology for farmers also will be helpful. Post-production technology for storage, logistic, marketing. The same, whatever problems we have post-agriculture, those can be addressed using technology. One is water, micro irrigation, farmer education, e-tech for them. Then for storage and all we can use technology. Farmer mechanization. So we can use machines instead of labor, so that will be so much reducing labor cost, and those labor will be diverted to other industries. Then we can also improve HYE and GM crops, high yielding variety crops and genetically modified crops and all. Then as I told before also, food processing industry will grow up. So environmentally, if you see, what are the problems or concerns? One is waste management. We already read in post-harvest. Waste management, groundwater depletion, of course. One side we are talking in case of technology, micro irrigation. Why micro irrigation? Because we don't have so much of water. Water will be like depleting, right? The source will be depleting. So that is the issue. Groundwater depletion, water stress, water depletion, water stress. Then we have eutrophication. If it is excess fertilizer and pesticides usage, after once it rains, all those chemicals, where it will go to? It will go to nearby ponds, lakes, etc., and causing a problem called eutrophication, like enriching that water by nutrients, and then algal bloom, then forming a dead zones, etc. So this is one of the problem, eutrophication. Then we have soil degradation, salinization, if it is over irrigation and over usage of soil. Then climate change also will affect the crops. So if you remember here, whatever we learned, we are going to reuse again and again. See, we used waste management, water depletion, then see this, climate change will be everywhere there. So you learn key points now. Eutrophication is one such an environment important point. Soil degradation, salinization. In depth we will read about these things, okay. So internationally we can reduce the import dependency will be reduced. So strategically marketable surplus, if we get surplus we can strategically market it also. Then we'll be having a good standard at WTO, because according to peace clause, like for food grains we are giving more subsidy and all. If it is increased in terms of agricultural output, then we can also be more for WTO, and then there will be balance of payment also. We'll be getting more foreign assets because of agricultural export as well. That is what is needed internationally. So whenever you talk about international, you should talk about imports reduction, and then we should be exporting, because of that balance of payment will be happening, and then WTO we will be following those regulations, etc. So apart from that, we have solution. So what are those solutions? We'll see. So the thing is growth. If you see growth, first thing is this one. G is growth. R is like resource management, resilient, and research. These are the key terms, okay. What is the way forward? So under way forward we are taking growth as growth as the key term. So under that we are having G is a genetic. Growth we should be able to do in genetic. What are the genetic involved? We already studied like high yielding crops, HYV seeds. Then we read like GM crops under technology, right? So that is genetic. Invest in R&D, research and development. So after that we have enhancement also, high yielding, climate resilient as well, disease resistance crops. So whenever you talk about genetic, you should talk about GM crops, HYV seeds, climate resilient, disease resilient or resistant crops, okay. When you talk about R, see I told growth is a mnemonic here. G is genetic. Under genetic, high yielding, climate resilient, disease resistant, GM crops you can use. R, resource management, resilient, research. R3, triple R here. So it's not a movie triple R, but it's a triple R for growth in agriculture. That is resource management. What are the resources that we have to manage? So we have to promote use of resources such as water, fertilizers, pesticides, through precision agriculture techniques, sensor-based irrigation, balanced nutrient management practice. Case study is Amul cooperative model. So check out what is this model, and it will be a key term for you. So already we learnt all these things. See, we are reusing again and again the same terms. If you are able to practice once, you can use multiple times. So resource management, when it comes, it is like water management, fertilizer, pesticides, even seed also you can say. All these things, okay. Then we have a resilient. Under resilient, agri-basket diversification through crop neutral incentive structure model. So resilient, agri-basket diversification. So we are using different crop production, like diversifying the crop production, not single monoculture we're not going for. It's a diversification. How? Through crop neutral incentive structure. So this crop neutral incentive, there should be incentive structure also. That structure we are following. There is a model called a crop neutral incentive structure model. So I'll just explain what is it. So this model talks about giving crop neutral incentive, that is equal financial support across different types of crops, particularly to those which consume less water. That means less water incentive and more sustainable, such as pulses, oil seeds and millets. So equally we should be giving financial incentives so that farmer will be growing different crops, so that diversification will happen, which will be a resilient technique, right? Then we have agri export zone should be there, dedicated to vegetables in West Bengal. So there is a agri export zone. Where is it there? It is there in West Bengal. Ultra high density plantation for mangoes in Tamil Nadu. Similarly, one more example is ultra high density plantation for mangoes in Tamil Nadu. So different zones are giving different incentive. If we are diversifying like this, we will be having a higher resilient chances. Then we should be going for research. Increase investment from current 0.5% of agri GDP to at 1% of agri GDP. So we want more funds to be allocated. We are now allocating 0.5% of agri GDP. It should be increased to 1%. Agri university in every state should be encouraged. Okay. Then under grow we have O. O is organic farming. Encourage and support the adoption to organic farming because it is sustainable farming technique. Then we have W. Such an important key. Women empowerment. Half of the employment labor are women. So they should be empowered. So training, access to credit, technology, thereby ensuring their active participation and contributing to agriculture production. So we have seen the solution as grow. What is grow? Genetic, resource, resilient, research, then O, organic farming, W, women empowerment. Post production, what are the measures we can take? It is again growth, is a mnemonic, growth. We'll say post production, what all we can take. That is pre production, right? So gram level procurement system. We know the problem. What is the problem? Post production, harvesting, like procurement to distribution, right? So that should be addressed by gram level procurement system. Post harvest technologies including storage, processing, value addition and packing to minimize post harvest losses and improve product quality. So if you can go with gram level procurement, you can be able to have a more yield or output. R, research, remove constraint, right policy support. See, it's post, right? So one is research and development should be there. Marketing in where? Which field? Marketing, export, transport. See, we have seen transport as one of the key post production. Market also one of the key. Transport, post harvest processing. Here R&D should be done. Then we have remove constraint, rationalize the subsidies. So reasonably and for practical things we have to give a subsidy. So remove constraint, right policy support. Convergence of schemes like MG Narega plus Blue Revolution. So these employees will be working for Blue Revolution. Work is also done, agriculture also improved, and wages also will be given for rural employment. Change from output to outcome oriented outlook. So not just output but outcome oriented outlook. So that is where you can merge the things is what they are saying, which is important. Then we have open markets. Open and transparent agricultural markets, enabling farmer to access fair prices, reduce intermediaries and promote direct farmer consumer interaction. This is what is the important challenge here. Direct farmer consumer interaction should happen. For that we should have a open markets. So we are done with G, R, open market. This is R&D, and then restraint, constraint, and we have reforms in the policies. So next we see warehousing, warehousing and cold storage or cold chain infrastructure. We have seen this as a problem, right? That should be addressed. Waste, even waste management, waste to wealth. This is one of the key term, very important term. Everywhere you can use, even under the pollution. Waste to wealth and warehouse management. Okay, reducing post-harvest losses and enhancing the marketability. Convert waste to marketable products. This is important. Waste to wealth is such an important key term. Then we have a T, technology adaptation. Technology driven solutions such as blockchain, Internet of Things, and data analytics to improve supply chain efficiency, traceability, and market access to agricultural produce. Climate smart agriculture. Example, agrivoltaics, solar as a third crop for farmers that can give farmers a regular monthly income when other crops fail due to drought, etc. So under technology, we should be going for using recent whatever upgrading technologies. You can use blockchain, Internet of Things, data analytics, like installing many sensors, etc. Even artificial intelligence. So those things can be used for efficient crop production. Also climate smart agriculture. Under that, agrivoltaics. So these voltaic cells will be used for solar energy production, right? So under solar, it should be a third crop for you. Whatever crop you grow, along with that, you should be having solar plant. So that you will be having a alternative agriculture. That means you should make use of agriculture is a term here. Agrivoltaics. Then we have a human capital development. We have human resources that has to be turned to a capital now. Skill development program and capacity building initiatives for farmers, agri entrepreneurs, and post harvest workers to enhance their knowledge, improve quality standards, and promote entrepreneurship. So skill has to be developed through capacity building and trainings. Okay, that's how human resources will get converted to human capital. So this is also very important key. I hope you understood the way forward. Now we understood that three stages of farming. One is pre-harvest or pre-sowing, harvesting or production, and post-harvesting or production. So under that we understood the key terms. What are the key terms for pre-sowing and harvesting as well as post-production? How it is important, political, social, economic, technological, all these factors we understood. And then what is the way forward? We understood again with a mnemonic, grow and growth. So after that, understanding three stages, one of the key term we learned from pre-sowing is land. Now we understand what is land, like what is the issue with land, and we'll figure out way forward, right? So land. Okay, size of a land holding. So this figure, it shows distribution of households by size category of ownership holdings. See, in 2018, it is 86:5.8. That means large farmers on medium and small and marginal, that division they have given. Indian agriculture continues to be dominated by small holders, landholders. About 89.4% of a farm households own less than 2 hectares of a land. So 80%, approximately 90% I can consume. So 90% of them have less than 2 hectares of land. According to Economic Survey 2023-24. We already learned 3 facts. One is 18%. What is that? A GDP contribution from agriculture. 42% of employability from agriculture. Now we are saying there are 90% approximately, particularly 89% I can mention. 89% small holders or households have just less than 2 hectares of land. So share of a land of the India. India occupies 2.41% of world land area but supports over 18% of world population. So India is having 2.41% of total land from world. So 2.4%, but it has 18% of world population in India itself. For this 2.4% of land, 18% of people are there in India. With this understanding that just 2.4%, 18% of the world population lives, there is one commission, that is Dalwai panel. The Dalwai panel, it suggests to double farmer income, what can be done. So India is having a focus of doubling farmers income, right? How can we double? For that, Dalwai panel has suggested something. What is the suggestion? So it said we have to see agriculture as a business enterprise. So when you see agriculture as a business enterprise, what business enterprise mostly focuses on? It focuses on output per input. For how much input, for what much output I am getting. That's how we focus. So even in agriculture, we should take it as a business enterprise and look for the key aspects such as reducing input cost and enhancing the productivity by securing high prices. So we want lesser input used and more output. How? With a improving productivity. Productivity is a key here. So productivity has to be improved. So the key term is productivity. Yeah. So this is a key term. Productivity has to be increased. How? You have to reduce the input and then improve the output. That means you should get higher prices while increasing productivity. So this is the Dalwai panel suggestion. That should be working actually to double the farmer's income. Okay. It is important to efficiently utilize. How can you improve the productivity? If you are able to use the input efficiently and effectively, you will be able to get more output, increasing productivity. So that you will be ensuring two main objectives. One is increasing income, that output. One more is India's important aim, sustainable agriculture practice. So we want sustainable agriculture practice along with increasing the income. So that is what is a suggestion given by Dalwai panel. Okay. So but what is the problem? Challenges in utilizing land as an input. Land is one of the input, but it is having a challenge or a problem to utilize it more effectively. What are those challenges and how can we reduce? Did we take any steps before? And if we would have taken, what are the reasons for failure and what are the reasons for success if in case it got succeeded? So these are some of the questions we should ask within ourselves and start. So now we'll start with challenges in utilizing land as an input. Land tenure and ownership, a key term. Land tenure and ownership problem, a challenge. Land ownership disputes, lack of proper documentation. Why this dispute is coming? Lack of proper documentation, unclear land titles and inadequate land records. There are no proper documentation, no proper records. These are creating problems. If there are proper records, at least we'll have the data to analyze, right? But the problem is no proper documentation and records. In land tenure and ownership, this is a problem. These issues often result in conflicts and hinder access to credit for farmers. So with this, they are unable to get the credit. See, to get the credit for agriculture, you have to show your land document. But your land is not recorded. There is no land documentation. How can a bank give a credit to farmer? So this is a challenge. Impending investment in land improvement and modern farming techniques. So that is in return causing lower productivity because we can't get into a higher techniques, a modern technique or improvements because of lack of financial aid. Why lack of financial aid? Because of land tenure and ownership issues. Okay. We see the solution also. We have a solution called land digitalization, which we are taking up as a solution. We'll discuss it later parts. Now key term is land tenure and ownership problems. Fragmentation and small land holding. Already like we read from a survey 2023-24 what? More than 89% of Indian farmers own less than 2 acres of land. That means land got fragmented. So fragmentation and small land holdings is a key term and an important term. The average size of a land holdings has been decreased over time, leading to operational inefficiencies, limitations on mechanization, and reduced economies of scale. If you want to use a big machine, at least you should have a reasonable land as hectares. If you are having half acre, 1 hectare, 2 hectare, using big machines, that won't give more yield, right? So this is one of the key issue. So key term of issue. One is land tenure and ownership. The second one is fragmentation and small land holdings. Third one is urbanization and conversion of agricultural land. First of all, we have fragmented land. In that also, because of urbanization, we are converting agricultural farm into urbanized land. So rapid urbanization and industrialization lead to conversion of agricultural land for non-agricultural purposes. The expansion of cities, infrastructure development and industrial projects result in the loss of a fertile agricultural land, reducing the overall availability of land for farming. So that's the issue. Next, land degradation. So major issue when we studied about environment related one, we studied salinization and degradation. Land is getting degraded, including soil erosion, salinization, water logging, depletion of soil fertility, poses a significant challenge in Indian agriculture. So why it is happening? Because of unsustainable agricultural practices, because of deforestation, improper irrigation technique and chemical fertilizers. So these are leading to degradation. What do you mean by degradation? Loss of that fertility of a soil because of these reasons like improper irrigation, deforestation, unsustainable agricultural practices. So land degradation is also one of the important cause for land. Environmental concerns. Overuse of a chemical fertilizer, pesticides, inadequate waste management and excessive groundwater extraction contribute to environmental degradation and pollution. Similar point only. The sub point they have given us environmental concerns. They also added like fertilizers and groundwater depletion. All these points we have already referred. Then land use planning and fragmented policies. We don't have such good policies, right? So I'll just read out. The absence of integrated land use planning and fragmented policies across different sectors pose challenges. Inconsistent zoning regulation, lack of coordination among various government agencies, and conflicting land use policies create uncertainties for farmers and impede efficient and land utilization and resource allocation. So this is one. Proper land planning is not there because there is no coordination among the different agencies of government as well. So key term to be noted here is what? Land tenure and ownership. Tenure and ownership, fragmentation, urbanization, land degradation, environmental concerns and land use planning and fragmented policies. Land is fragmented, that is one problem. One more problem is policies also fragmented, not coordinated. That is a problem. Okay. So we have these many problems. Whenever you talk about this, we also get a question. Didn't we ever try to settle down these issues? Of course we tried doing land reforms. If it was successful, we would have not spoke about all these problems as of now. But there is some problem even in the land reform. So what are those? First of all, what is land reform? Actually, it refers to policies and measures aimed at addressing issues related to the land. What are kind of issues? Land ownership, tenancy, distribution, and land use. So these problems we are trying to address through land reforms. We tried. And reforms typically aim to achieve equitable land access, enhance agricultural productivity, elevate rural poverty. The same thing. We want to reduce all those problems. So we went for land reforms. So to increase the productivity, etc. So what was it? We'll understand in depth and then we'll see why it got failed. It's a legal framework for land reform. While recognizing the need to bring about land reform in a country, the Constitution of India provided an Article 39 that. So according to Article 39, we also did land reforms. So what Article 39 speaks? It speaks on the ownership and control of material resource of a country should be so distributed as best to serve the common good. So material resources has to be redistributed. Okay, and there should be no wealth concentration at a single person or a point. It has to be wealth also should be redistributed. According to this Article 39, there was a land reform. Land reform in India is primarily the responsibility of individual states. So it's the responsibility of a state. That is where the problem comes. With the central government providing policy guidelines. So guidelines will be provided by center, whereas implementation responsibility is in hands of states. However, the implementation and success of a land reforms initiative has varied state to state. So because it is in a state's hand, that reforms varied from state to state. Some states are highly successful. Some states were incomplete in implementing this. So we'll see how it has happened. We have 4 phases in land reform. Initially, in the first stage, between 1950 to 1972 till 72, we tried abolition of intermediaries like zamindars and all. So we tried abolition of intermediaries. Tenancy reforms also done. We already read under land problem of tenancy, right? So there were tenancy reforms also. Then ceiling on land holding. So how much land a family can hold or an individual can hold has been sealed. So that was that was in the phase 1. And cooperativization. Cooperativization also we tried. Okay, so 4 were there. Abolition of intermediaries, tenancy reforms, sealing of land holdings, and cooperativization. Okay, in phase 2, from 1972 to till 1985, there was the introduction of Green Revolution. It was during 1972. Think, we were having 1972 kind of a war going somewhere. Where? Recall. I'll just give a clue. East Pakistan. Yes, Green Revolution. Technological reforms also took place in 1972 to 1985. So from 1985, the phase 3 starts till 1995. Watershed development, drought-prone area development, desert area development programs. We launched certain programs. First is to focus on watershed development. I already told land degradation. So to ensure less or to use the land properly or avoid the degradation, drought prone area development, and then desert area development also came. Then in the phase 4, from 1995 till now onwards, current phase, it is streamline land administration. We are trying to streamline the land administration, also land digitalization. I was saying in land tenancy there was no proper documentation, it's a problem. So we started with land digitalization, a key term. Okay. So these were the 4 phases we had. So we'll have a short revision. Phase 1 from 1950 to 1972. The phase was to abolish the intermediaries, tenancy reform, sealing of landholds, cooperativization. Phase 2, introduction of Green Revolution, also technological reforms. So the next phase, phase 3 from 1985 to 1995, we had watershed development, drought prone area development, desert area development program. Phase 4, we are going for digitalization and streamline of land administration. So these are the things.